This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
A very good afternoon, boys and girls of College Park Elementary School, Fairfield Elementary School, and the New Castro Elementary School. You have never joined us before on our drive, and we are very pleased to have you on board this afternoon. And we are coming to you live from the Mara Triangle in Kenya. And my name is David. And with me on camera today is James. When James does like that, that's a sign of hello and also a sign of good luck. A sign of good luck because James is seeing or is showing you the tallest animal in the world. Can you imagine, boys and girls? Before we show you the tallest animal in the world, we want to show you some rainfall that we are having at the moment. Look in the background there, and you can see the amount of rain that we are having here in Kenya. The Mara Triangle is in a country called Kenya in East Africa. Boys and girls, I am going to request you one favor, that during the drive, as I'm also showing you some different animals there apart from the giraffes, please to ask us as many questions as you can. And should you have any nice comment, please send them through your teachers. Now, before I show you the giraffe, let's have a look at these animals that we call buffaloes. Terry, you're the first one to ask me a question. Very good. And you're asking how tall are giraffes? And giraffes are pretty tall animals. And James is going to show you a giraffe. Stay right there because James also had your question. Now, the males are slightly bit taller than the females. When I'm talking about males, I'm talking about the boys. When I'm talking about the females, I'm talking about the girls. So the boys could be about 15 feet tall. 15 feet tall. While the girls could be about 12 feet tall. So about 5 meters tall for the boys, and the girls maybe 4.5 meters tall. Now James will take us back to the buffaloes. I'm sure James loves buffaloes. Now before we go to the buffaloes, see that giraffe there? Now look carefully at what she is doing. She is not eating the grass, but she's eating on that green bush. Animals that eat anything green or grass, leaves or twigs are called vegetarians, but a better word would be herbivores. Herbivores. Now, there'll be one big difference between this giraffe and the buffaloes that James is going to show you now, because giraffes will only eat the leaves or twigs or small bushes. But now we got the buffaloes there. Boys and girls, do you see the buffaloes? In general, the buffaloes will eat grass. They are also herbivores, but their feeding food is different. See, those two are running there. I see the giraffes will eat leaves or twigs or small branches, but the buffaloes in general will only eat grass. So both of them are herbivores or vegetarians, but the difference is in the food that they eat. Do you see the buffalo that is the number 2 following the number 1? Look on her back and you're going to see 2 small birds that are hitchhiking on that buffalo. Those 2 birds are called oxpeckers. Now they have left that buffalo and they have gone to another buffalo. And I'll tell you what they're looking for. They are looking for some parasites. Parasites are small like organisms that will be attaching themselves to the bodies of the buffaloes to try and suck some food or more so blood. Now these birds will always come, look for them and remove them and eat them. Shane, good question, and you'd want to know whether animals have their own shelters. Now all these animals that you see here in Africa, the buffaloes or giraffes, they'll always have no houses or shelters. They live in the wild. They live where you see them, and that is their home. If it rains maybe very heavily, they might go and look for some shelter of some kind from the trees, but in general, they do not have homes or houses or any sort of shelter. You see like those trees James is showing you there? They might go and take some cover under those trees if the rain is very heavy. But in general, they live in the wild, and this is the Africa wilderness. So animals do not have a particular home or shelter or a house where they will go. Say if they are cold or if it's raining heavily, they'll always be out there. But Mother Nature has designed them so well in the sense that they never get sick. All right, boys and girls, I'm sure you're happy to have seen giraffes, to have seen buffaloes. We'll now take you to another country all the way in South Africa for someone to give you a smile and say hello to all of you.
Well, hello, and there is a hippopotamus walking out of the waterhole. It's a very shallow waterhole, so he's feeling a little bit nervous in the waterhole. It is a wonderful afternoon here in South Africa. My name is Brent Leo Smith. I have my friend Craig on camera. And welcome, guys. I want to get lots of questions from you. Send all your questions through your teacher. But while I wait for your first question, I've got a quiz for you. And that is, what is the biggest cat in the world? What is the biggest cat in the world? Think about that for a while, because I'm looking for cats this afternoon. That's what I'm doing. I'm looking for lion or leopard, and hopefully we're going to find one shortly. Oh, but we're finding a big hippo, and now we have found a big giraffe. Let's just go forward a bit. Hello, Elena. Let me just try. He keeps walking away from us. Elena is wondering how heavy are hippos. Hippos are very heavy, Elena. They can weigh up to 2 tons, normally between a ton, around a ton though, but very big ones can be up to 2 tons, but normally about a ton. And there's another very big animal, that is a male giraffe. He is the tallest animal in the world. And you can see on his head, let me just try to get us a better view. Well done, Fairfield Elementary. You are 100% correct. The biggest cat in the world is indeed a tiger. And we're not going to see any tigers on safari because we're in Africa and they don't live here. The biggest cat in Africa is the lion, which we are looking for. And there is the giraffe, a big boy. And you can see there's some birds hopping around on his head. And what those are called are oxpeckers. And they eat ticks and other ectoparasites that are on the giraffe. So sometimes they help the giraffe, but other times they can actually be quite a nuisance, because if there's an open wound, they will pick at it, because they also eat the blood. Nolan is wondering, why do giraffes fight? Well, Nolan, they fight to get girlfriends. That's why they fight. Okay, well, he's disappearing into the thick bush, so we're going to keep moving and looking for lions and leopards. There was a pride of lions in this area yesterday, so I'm hoping they haven't moved too far. But we have to keep our eyes open, so hopefully we can spot some kitty cats. Now, while you've met David all the way in the Masai Mara, there's someone else driving around in South Africa with me, so let's go meet Jamie.
Hello, and welcome to the Sunset Safari, and of course, a very warm welcome to the kids joining us this afternoon. My name is Jamie, and this afternoon, Sebastian is on camera with me. Now, Sebastian's very shy, so you'll only ever see his hand, unless something happens. So, we're searching for all sorts of animals, and unfortunately, they're running away now. I wanted to stop and show you some really beautiful antelope called impala. But it looks like the impala are a little bit nervous today. Now, the reason that they're so nervous is because last night we had a huge storm with lots of wind and rain. There, look, there's a little baby walking along. So the little babies have just started to be born. So impala in this particular part of Africa, in South Africa, give birth all at the same time. So within a couple of days, most of the little baby impala are born. Now, they were scared last night because of the wind and the rain, because it makes them very disoriented and they can't hear. Now, we have a question about whether or not we have any deer here. And we don't get any deer here in South Africa. Sophia, you wanted to know that, and it's a very good question. Antelope are kind of like the equivalent of deer here. I'm going to see if I can find there's some more off to my right. So I'm just going to reverse backwards and see if we can see them. Now, deer and antelope are very similar, but there are some differences. So with antelope, their horns on the top of their head are actually made of bone, and they never shed their horns, so their horns don't fall off in the same way that most deer species do. But essentially they're very similar. So they eat plants, and they look very much like deer, but they're not quite exactly the same. There we go. They're still hiding from us. Such a pity, because there's little babies as well in here. Let me see if I can find you some more. I'm sure we can. So Brent is looking for big cats. We are as well, but we're also looking for all the other little things. Because it's rained here, it means that lots of different animals could come out. There's tortoises, and maybe we'll see some elephants. We just have to drive around and see what we can spot. There we go. Here's more impala. Perfect. Lots and lots of them. Now, people tend to just drive past impala because we see them so often that we take them for granted. But they're actually really very interesting antelope. And they're very, very pretty to look at. Here we go. Just pop down here. Right, now don't you lot run away from me. There we go. So these are, in front of us, these are male impala. Now there's a difference between male impala and female impala. They have horns. So with some antelope, the females have horns, and some antelope, they don't. And in the case of impala, they do not. Now, we have another question. I think it was from Jake, wanting to know what it is impala eat. Now, the reason that there are so many impala, Blake wants to know what impala eat. Blake, they eat leaves and they eat grass. So they're what's known as mixed feeders, and they're herbivores. So they only eat leaves and grass, and at the moment they're very, very happy because it's rained. So there's fresh green grass that's just started to grow. If we have a look, we can even look off to the left here. You can see the green grass. Now that, it might not look very green to you, but for us, that is positively verdant. In other words, it's a sign of new growth. It's lush and it's beautiful because it's just started to rain here after months of dry. So that is what the impala are mostly feeding on at the moment. And that and new leaves coming through on the trees. Alrighty. Now, across in Kenya, which is actually very far away from where we are now, you still get some of the same animals. Now, Dave is with exactly this type of antelope, but in the Mara, they're much, much bigger.
Well, boys and girls, I can tell you for a fact, most likely Jamie or Brent or one of them will be able to get you some lions. But I might also be trying to do the same from here, because we got some of the food or some of the antelopes. Once in a while, lions might go for looking for food. Now, these antelopes here are called impalas. impalas. And if you look carefully, some of them got longer horns than others. And the reason for that is because the ones with the smaller horns are young. The ones with the bigger horns are old. Just like you boys and girls, you know, when you're not very tall when you're young, and as you grow older, you become tall, right? Now, you're all about 6 to 8 years. Hannah, very good question you're asking, or you'd like to know how tall are the impalas. The impalas are just about 1 meter or 3 feet from the ground. So about 1 meter from the ground, say from their feet to the back of their body, and maybe a meter and maybe a few inches going all the way to the head. Now, Hannah, look at that one. That one is a fully grown, and if you look at him carefully, he got very big horns, which means he is an adult. The other ones with smaller horns, it means they are young. Just like I was saying, most of you could be 6 to 8 years old. So when you're 6 to 8, you're short. When you become 12 or 14 years, you'll be much tall. So the ones you see there, the one facing to the right, that's a young one. And that's why his horns are a bit short. And the ones we saw before was much older. Now, just to let you know, like the giraffes we saw before, and the buffaloes, also these animals are herbivores. Herbivores, as I said, meaning that they also eat green, be it grass, be it leaves, be it twigs. So they all have one commonality. The giraffes, the buffaloes, and the impalas are all herbivores. Now, this particular antelope that we call the impala, the males, or the boys, got horns. Girls don't. Sorry, I missed the question from Miss Clark. Miss Clark, that's a very good question, and you'd like to know what season it is now. In Africa in general, and more so in East Africa, we have a long period, or the best of the year, we have what we call summer. It's warm all around the year. But that summer is broken by 2 rainfall seasons. The long rains that will come around April, May, and June, and the short rains that should be now. Normally they come October, November, but this time they were late, so they just started a few days ago. You remember when we were starting the drive, James showed you some big clouds out there, and you're going to be showing you big clouds. So basically, January to December is like summer all around the year. But you got the long rains, March, April, May, sometimes June, and very heavy rains. Then after that, we'll have the short rains that will come October and November. This particular year, they have come a bit late, and they just started. But that's basically the kind of weather we have. James is going to try and show you the clouds, and you see how heavy they are, because we're expecting the short rains to be starting any time now. Well, they have started, but not as heavy as we would expect them. And as I said, they came a bit late. Nora, good question. Do owls fight? I'll tell you, most of the animals do not. But what will fight once in a while, the males tend to fight, or the boys will always fight with each other. And ideally they'll fight with each other because of food, because everybody wants the food. But the girls in general, or the females, do not fight. Now, that one impala there has been there for quite some time. He is definitely looking at something, but even as he is looking, he is chewing, and you'd wonder, what is he chewing? We got certain antelopes in Africa, excuse me, that once they eat grass, for example, or whatever green matter they are eating, they'll just cut, eat, and swallow. Cut, eat, and swallow without chewing it very well. Then after some time, they are going to remove it from their stomach, back to the mouth, and chew it to much smaller pieces. And this is exactly what this antelope is doing. And those animals are called ruminants. Ruminants because they ruminate, and that is to eat food and just swallow without chewing it very well. Then after some time, bring it out of their mouth and they re-chew it to much smaller particles and then they swallow it. See, those ones must be very good, two males that are friends. And when you see a group of antelopes like this, you would say a herd of impalas. I'm sure all of you have heard of deers or you have seen deers back in America, but the difference between your deers and our antelopes here, because these are not deers, you see that rack of horns they got? Once they lose that rack of horns, that's it. But the deers that you have in America, they'll always shed their horns every other season, and then they regenerate them or they get them back again every season until they die. But the antelopes here, once, for example, that very good-looking male loses those horns, that's it. It will not have other horns. All right, boys and girls, I will take you again all the way to South Africa because Brent have some exciting something for you.
I do. It's one of my favorite little critters, and we only see them after they come out during the rains. It is called a bushveld rain frog. He's got a very grumpy face. He looks like he's a very grumpy old man. Now, they are frogs that do not rely on water at all. So they live out on the crests where the sand is soft, and they will dig down and stay underground while there's no dampness around or no rain, and then they come out. This guy is taking a big risk walking around at this time of the day. He might get snacked upon by a bird or a lizard. So they are very, very cool little critters. They got a very funny little call. Tyler is wondering, does it rain a lot in South Africa? It does not in this part of South Africa. In other places it does. We get about, on average, 450 millimeters a year, although we are going through a very dry period. We've only had about half of our normal rainfall. So I'm going to play you the bushveld rain frog's call. So a sound that is synonymous with summer. Tweet, tweet, tweet. Tweet, tweet, tweet. They're very funny little things. Now, he's, I think, trying to look for a safe place to go crawl under. He's trying to look for some soft sand to dig in, and we just spotted him crossing the road in front of us. Hey, you little terror. Now, there's another reason he could be out, and that's because there is food about, and there have been some termites around it, and that is one of his favorite foods, termite alates. You can see how well camouflaged he is. Now I can hear a bird which would definitely eat him, so we're going to sneak off and hopefully he doesn't get eaten. But in the meantime, Jamie has found the largest land mammal in the world.
There we go. I found a couple of the largest land mammals in the entire world. It's a herd of elephants. And of course, because it's just going that way today, they're also moving away from us. Oh dear. Oh, that's awesome. You can't hear it, but I can. They're talking to each other. And what they're doing is producing this very low rumbling sound. And that's the way that they can communicate with each other. Now, elephants can even make sounds that are too soft for humans to hear, too low for humans to hear. It's at a pitch that our ears can't pick up on. But that's the way that they can communicate, and they pick up vibrations through the soles of their feet, and of course they can hear as well. So that deep rumble was a message from one of the older females telling the rest of the herd it's time to move on. We're going to go and search for somewhere else to feed. Now, just like the impala, they eat exactly the same thing pretty much. At this time of year, they're eating lots and lots of leaves, but as the grass starts to get longer, they'll be eating grass as well. And they use those strong trunks to break the branches. Look, there's a baby elephant. Isn't that cute? Tiny, tiny. Now that little baby elephant has to learn to use its trunk, just like you have to learn how to write and catch a ball when you're very little. So it's got to learn how to use its trunk. Now it's still drinking milk from mum. That elephant's probably about a year or so old, or under a year old actually. No, around about a year. And it's still suckling from its mum, but also occasionally trying solid food. Luke, you want to know how much does an elephant weigh? An elephant can weigh around about 4 tons, which is over 8,000 pounds. Look, there's another baby there, hiding away right at the back. You see how you have to have such sharp eyes out here and always look at different things? So even, that's a big elephant, that's an adult elephant, but even their babies are born at around about 100 kilograms, so over 200 pounds, because they're such big, big animals. A big, big male elephant could even weigh 8 tons, which is basically 8 cars all put together. Big car, not a little car, a big car. It would be 8 of them would weigh as much as a big male elephant. Jordan, very good question and very observant. Jordan wants to know why elephants have such big ears. Now, it's not for flying, like Dumbo in the cartoon. It's actually to help to keep them cool. Now, an elephant is a very, very big animal, as we've just mentioned, and it gets very hot out here. Today, it's around about 94, 95 Fahrenheit. That's really hot. So the elephants get quite hot and they have to have a very efficient way of cooling down. So the ears have lots of blood vessels. You know how when you run and you do a lot of exercise and your face gets pink because all the blood has gone to the surface of your skin? Well, an elephant's ears kind of work the same way. There's lots of blood close to the surface of the skin, and then they flap their ears and create a wind over their ears, which cools down the blood, and then the cold blood can go to the rest of the body to help to cool down the elephant. So if you've done a lot of exercise and your cheeks are all bright pink and flushed, and you fan yourself with your hands, or maybe you stand where there's a nice breeze or in front of a fan, that's kind of like what an elephant's ears do. It helps to keep them cool. So that's why on a hot day like today, you'll see the elephants constantly flapping their ears. And there's a nice breeze this afternoon. It's helping to cool us down a little bit as well. I'm sure the elephants are grateful. Another question about the way that elephants are designed from Anna. Anna, you want to know why elephants have such long trunks? Because a trunk is a very useful thing indeed. Now, a trunk is just a nose. That's the elephant's nose. Now, see how that elephant's using its trunk to wrap around the leaves and pull up the branches and then move it into their mouths. Now, it means that because they have to eat and eat and eat and eat, having such a long trunk means that they can actually eat more efficiently. So they can eat more quickly. They don't have to take a direct bite from the tree. They can use their trunk to grab a lot of leaves in one go, or grass, or whatever it may be. They also use their trunks to drink, because an elephant is very tall. And if it had to get down onto its elbows every time it wanted to drink, to put its mouth near the water, it would be very awkward. So what an elephant does is it pulls water up into its trunk, It doesn't put it all the way in, it doesn't swallow it, but then what it does is it uses its trunk it puts its trunk in its mouth, and it blows the water down into its mouth. And I often find myself wondering just how much of their own snot they drink. Alrighty. Do you think we should try and get a better view of these elephants? Although there's some more coming out, but I'm struggling a little bit to see them through the thick trees. That's what summer does. When it's summer and it rains and the trees grow, it makes looking at the animals a little bit more difficult. And we have to concentrate very hard. Now, Tim, Nina and Ty all want to know how long an elephant lives for. Now, an elephant can live almost as long as a human being. So the males can live up to around about 50 years, and very, very old females can even reach 75 years old, which is absolutely amazing. So elephants have long, long lives. They're also very clever animals, which means that they learn throughout their lives. And the wisdom that the females gain as they get older is passed down to the next generation and the next generation and so on. So the way that an elephant herd works is it's made up of females that are related to each other. So mothers, aunts, cousins, sisters. This is a very big elephant herd. There's lots more coming out of the bushes. And they grow up together. So an elephant that is female actually spends its entire life with the herd. And eventually, when she's very, very old, she becomes the matriarch, or she could become the matriarch, or she helps the matriarch keep the herd safe and protects them. An entire elephant herd looks after each other, which is one of my favorite things about elephants, is that each and every single herd member is valuable, particularly the babies. And even the older babies, sort of 6 or 7 years old, will help the mothers to look after the little ones. So they look after their little siblings and they protect them and they make sure that they don't do anything silly or dangerous. Don't you think that's special? That they babysit that way? So they're very clever animals. Now, Tim, elephants don't see quite as well as people do. So they don't see in as much detail. They don't see as many colors as people do either. But they can see. Mostly their vision is based on movement. So I could get out, which I'm not going to do because walking would scare them now. But I could get out, and if I stand very, very, very still, they wouldn't see me even if I got quite close. But they do have very good hearing and a very good sense of smell. So the wind is blowing from behind me towards these elephants, and there's more coming out of the bushes here. That's why I haven't moved. There's a baby as well. So they would smell me immediately. They know I'm here. They're listening to me talk. They're not upset in any way, but they can hear me talking and they can smell me. So elephants don't really need to see that well. Cute. Cute. Look at his little floppy ears. It's very sweet. Being protected by Mum. Now, an elephant is one of the animals that I think, are just the best to spend time with. Audrey, you want to know why elephants have tusks? Well, most importantly, they use their tusks for feeding. Particularly in the dry season, they dig their tusks into the bark of a tree and they pull away strips of bark when there's no leaves and the grass is very brown, when it's very dry. They also use their tusks to dig. Now, with males and with females to an extent, they can also use their tusks to defend themselves. But of course, because they're so big, they can also just use their size. and males fight with each other using their tusks. So when they fight over a female, they're not territorial, so they don't fight over space, but they do occasionally fight over females. What they'll do is they'll come together in a match of strength, and they sort of lock their tusks together and push their opponent's head backwards and forwards using their tusks. And sometimes they even break their tusks, because a tusk is just a tooth. It's a different kind of tooth, but it is a tooth. They're talking again. Ah, Luke, you want to know how you can tell the difference between a male and a female elephant. It is actually something that's quite difficult to do. You've got to look either at their foreheads. The females have quite a sort of an angle to their foreheads, and the males, when they're fully grown, have quite a round forehead. But obviously that doesn't always work with little elephants. The females also have mammary glands so that they can feed their babies. So between their front legs, they've got mammary glands, and they're a bit more developed than the ones between the male's front legs. Then, if you still can't figure it out, then you have to look between their legs and have a look at the different genital structures. So that's the way that you could tell the difference between a male and a female elephant. You can also look at the behavior of the animal. So I know that most of these adults here will be female because they're in a group with babies. And that when males are around about, well, when they're teenagers essentially, they actually move out of the herd and they go off on their own. Sometimes they spend time with other male elephants, but they don't stay in the family group. They smell so nice. They smell like grass. I can smell them from here. And still talking to each other. It's one of my favorite sounds. Unfortunately for you guys, you're just hearing wind at the moment because it's a little bit breezy. Just hold on 1 second. I'm going to be taking my earpiece out, so I won't be hearing your questions just for a moment. I just want to use my other ear. I thought I heard something that we call alarm calls, which is basically when an antelope or a squirrel or a monkey, one of the other animals, spots a predator. Hello, little boy. You're coming to say hello. Come say hello. Hello, my boy. Hello. That's very nice of you. Aren't you lovely? Aren't you lovely? Yes, coming to feed right next to the car. Here we go. Look at his eyelashes. Look at his beautiful brown eyes. You can even hear him crunching as he breaks leaves off. Oh, look at that. Awesome. I love looking into elephants' eyes because there's something really looking back at me. Hi, little boy, what are you going to do here? You're going to come right past the vehicle. Yes, well, I mean, you came to me, buddy. Now, we have a question about why elephants have so many wrinkles. That's also got to do with... Oh, Anna, sorry. Anna was the one who asked why elephants have so many wrinkles. That's also got to do with keeping cool, Anna. So by having wrinkles, it means that there's lots and lots of surface area to their skin. So if you stretched an elephant's skin out so that it was smooth, it would be bigger than the actual elephant itself. And that helps to cool them down because there's lots of surface area for the evaporation to take place or for the cooling down to take place. Also, when they have mud baths and they go and they cool themselves down by, look at this here, Seb, in front of us. This is awesome. So good, my boy. Seb's having to move very slowly because the elephant's right next to him. But I just wanted to show you what's walking past us on this side. So special. Now, we're really lucky to experience this because elephants could potentially be quite dangerous for us. But they're so comfortable with us and so relaxed that they're happy to walk right past us, and we're so lucky to have that experience. Awesome. What was I talking about? Oh yes, mud baths. When they get hot and they cover themselves in mud after it rains, then the mud gets sort of trapped in the wrinkles and it stays damp for longer. That's so cool. There's another male that's coming up to us now. Oh, he's a big boy. Hello, big boy. Oh, I thought you were going to come say hello to us. No? Oh, we're not quite as interesting. See how he's flapping his ears there? That's to help to cool him down. And you can actually hear, if you listen very carefully, the sound of the ear flapping on the side of his skin. Wow, this has been an absolutely beautiful way to spend an afternoon with one of the most iconic animals out here. David has very kindly managed to find you another iconic animal of Africa.
Very good, boys and girls. I'm sure you have been very happy to be entertained by the elephants. Now we are moving from the world of the big mammals and now to different mammals, and we are moving to the cats. And we got some lions for you here, boys and girls, and not one, but three. So if you look carefully, there are two of them there that are just very snoozy, very sleepy. And then James is going to show you another one to the right. And I want you to know there's a big difference in the lions between the boys and the girls. Now, if you look at it carefully on the neck, and when you go to the other one on the right, you're going to see better. Boys have what you call a mane, or that's hair on the neck. Now let's go to the one on the right, and you're going to see better what I'm talking about. All right, do you see that, boys and girls? Look on the head and the neck. So he got lots of hair that we call fur, and that one is called a mane, M-A-N-E. So boys will have that mane and girls will not have that. So that's the difference between boy lion and a girl lion. So the males, or the boys, we call them lions, and the females, lionesses. Maybe you like to know why do lions have mane? And that one makes them look good or beautiful, so that if the girls see them with that mane, they tend to like them. But also, sometimes the lions, just like we're talking about the impalas, the boys will fight. So that mane or that hair or the fur will help them. If they bite each other, it protects their head, and it also protects their necks. Because lions, when they fight, you can see the claws. Can you see the paws? They tend to use their paws or their claws to fight, or using their teeth to bite each other. So the mane that you see there will always help them so that they don't feel a lot of pain. It's like you try to bite yourself on your bare skin. Boys and girls, try and don't exactly bite yourself. Just touch yourself on your bare skin. Touch yourself with a finger. And then put a piece of your blouse or shirt on top of the same skin and touch it. Do you notice the difference, boys and girls? That's exactly what happens. So if these lions go fighting and they go biting each other or they go clawing each other, if they got the male that you see there, it will help them to reduce the pain. In general, lions sleep a lot of hours, and this is exactly what these lions are doing. Sometimes we make jokes, or we say, not jokes actually, they sleep up to 20 hours in a day and even 22 hours. Tim, very good question. What's the difference between the behavior between the males and the females? In general, the males will always protect the pride or the group. So when you see lions together, you'll see females and the young ones. That one is called a pride. But when you see males like this on their own, you call that a coalition. Now, these males, their main job is to protect the whole of this area, which you call a territory. Their main job is to protect the females. And if there are any babies that we call cubs, that will be their main job. But the females, their main job is to make sure the cubs or the babies get enough milk. That's the difference in their behavior. And another important difference is the lionesses will in general look for the food. They tend to hunt more than the boys. And when the females hunt, the boys will come and join them. So the males are a bit lazy. The lions not as active like the girls. The girls do the bigger job of hunting. This is very exciting day, boys and girls. You can see how lucky today you are. And what we'll do now, because our time is almost up, and to the College Park Elementary School, the Fairfield Elementary School, and Newcastle Elementary School, thank you so very much for having joined us for the first time. And hopefully we shall be seeing you again pretty soon. And for now, is goodbye from all of us. We'll now be taking you back to Jamie, and I think Jamie still got her elephants.
Right, let's try that again. Back over to Jamie to continue on with our regular sunset safari. I'm not allowed to use the word regular, but I don't know what else to call it. So remember to send through your questions and your comments on hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. Alternatively, you can do so in the comments section of the YouTube chat stream. Now, what is my plan for the afternoon? I don't really have one, to be honest. I'm trying to help Brenty out. He needs to find certain leopards to do certain things, and we haven't had much success, so I thought I'd come here and check for Hosanna. I also wanted to just see how he was doing, but since we've bumped into these ellies, and it's such a nice sighting, I don't think we're going to stray too far until they move off. Oh, no, don't move off now. That's not what I meant. That's not what I meant at all. Oh, okay. Bye then. They were so obliging, though, I'm not going to complain. I mean, didn't even have to move to get that nice close view of them. I missed this when I was in the Mara. The elephant sightings there are spectacular and beautiful in a way that I don't think many places could ever compare to, but they're not as intimate. Sorry, I was just listening to the Game Drive radio. It's just not quite the same. Should we go? Let's go up to those eddies a bit further ahead. Let's go have a look at them instead. Whew. The sun's suddenly become blazing hot. I'm really enjoying my elephant sighting. Lou tells me that you are all as well. I really enjoy spending time with elephants. It's incredibly calming. Shame, poor Rusty yesterday probably could have used an elephant sighting to calm a little bit. He did a marvelous job, I'm sure you'll all agree. There's an ominous ticking noise coming from the front of our vehicle. Yes, Okay, well, fortunately, when I turn my engine off, we don't have the ominous ticking sound. Gremlins wants to know why it is that female elephants live longer than male elephants. That's actually typical of most mammal species. The reason being is that it's just something that happens with mammals, with our biology. I don't know if there is an explanation. It's the same with humans. Typically, the female life expectancy is slightly longer than that of the male life expectancy, and I don't know exactly why that is. Look, male elephants also lead potentially quite a tough life towards the end. Perhaps, as you know, the reason that old elephants reach that sort of infirm stage is because they go through 6 sets of teeth in their life, then they wear down the molars, and they are replaced 6 times. Well, yes, they're replaced 6 times, but obviously there's no further teeth to replace the final set, and they wear down, and the elephant essentially mostly starves towards the end of its life. I don't know if it's because males have to eat more because they are larger. I don't think so, though. I think it just is one of those natural facts of mammal design. And perhaps there's certain structure to male hormones and male bodies that have a heavier toll and therefore create a slightly shorter life expectancy. Oh, so Lou's mentioned that it could be to do with metabolisms, that men or males have a higher metabolic rate, which has a greater effect, of course, on their life expectancy, which means I'm in deep trouble, Seb. My metabolism works in overdrive. I need to eat constantly, every couple of hours. I'm much like an elephant myself, except sort of a little bit smaller. Oh dear, if it's got to do with metabolism, Lou, I'm done for. In fact, I better start saying my farewells now. Thanks, Lou. Alright, our Ailey's are moving off, and it's taken a strange turn for the worse here in SafariLive. I'm going to continue searching for something else to show you. Let's go across to Dave, who has still got his sleepy lions.
Well done, Jamie. Good stuff with elephants. But I'm having very flat lions here. And for those of you who have never joined us before, these are 3 male lions. We're going to be seeing the other 2 very shortly. And they're brothers of one very famous lion here that's called the Scarface. Personally, I've not seen Scarface for quite some time. But 3 of his brothers are here very close to the Mara River. The Mara River is in the background there with those huge trees you see. And those are the other 2 brothers. And as is typical of lions, they've just gone boom, flat, asleep. Remember, this is a very interactive safari that we do. Should you have any questions or comments, please send them through on Twitter using #SafariLive. Or you can keep following us on the YouTube chat stream. It's not a very hot day today. I think when we started, it was about mid-80s, and definitely now it has dropped to maybe mid-70s. And for that reason, that's why they could be out there in the sun, or without any proper cover, because it's not very hot. With such huge size of mane, you'd imagine, of course, that is a downside for manes in the lions, because it makes them feel or get pretty hot, especially around the head area. So you'd imagine they'd be laying somewhere under some bush just to keep away from the heat of the day. But it's very clear being out there is not as warm. I'm not sure if they're benefiting from any moisture coming from the river, because the Mara River is right behind there, and Jim's going to show you where the river is at the bank.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. We have a spotted cat in a tree, and its name is Tundi. Hello, Tundi. You're looking mostly fat and happy with an impala in a tree. She's just giving herself a bit of a clean. Now, there's been much speculation whether Thandi has abandoned Tlalamba or not, and I was actually having a conversation with James yesterday, and he was saying, I don't think we're going to see them together anymore. However, we are happy to announce that Tlalamba is also here. So there we go, both kitties. Isn't that wonderful? Lovely to see them together. It is, as I say, I don't think she's quite ready to abandon Tlalamba yet, but soonish. I think she's waiting for Thandi to come down the tree so she can go up and feed. It looks like they've actually been here for a couple of days. We haven't been into this area. What do you, Thandi? Every time Tlalamba moves, Thandi starts hissing. Such a grumpy girl. Andrew. Sorry, I'm just going to talk on the radio quickly. Did you copy? There's Thandi and Tlalamba both in the sighting. You can see it is warm and she is very, very hot, panting heavily with a very fat belly. Standing by. Torchwood, North Rock Road. I affirm she's in the tree with a kill. Okay, isn't that a lovely looking kitty? She's looking very, very relaxed. Sort of got a nice spot for her big belly to hang without impeding. And there it is, that big fat tum-tum. And she's using her paw, her one paw, as a headrest. It looks a bit funny there with her paw underneath her head. Ligma says, what a beautiful shot. Indeed it is. Well done, Batman, well done. I don't think they're going to be doing too much moving. With that rain last night, there's obviously water probably quite close by as well. And I'm sure they've already popped down to the little drainage system or little river system for a drink. Especially on a hot day like today. The good news says, I hope she doesn't slip off that branch with such a big belly. I don't think she will. I think she's got herself quite a good spot there. And she's breathing so heavily, it almost looks like she's rocking her head. You can just see how quickly she's breathing. Her head's sort of swaying from side to side. Oh, hot cat. Hot, fat cat. Katie is wondering if Thandi does have another cub, will she allow Tlalamba near it? No, Katie, she'll probably chase Tlalamba away. And sometimes moms, when they have new cubs, can be quite aggressive towards their previous litters. There's a flat little Tlalamba. Okay, well, we sit here with our leopards. We're going to send you back to Jamie, who is still searching for something else.
Anything will do. Hukamuri would be great. I imagine that now that his carcass is finished, because I did go and check where he was been the last few days, I imagine that he has, after that big rain, gone off on a patrolling mission to re-scent mark his boundaries. So I just thought I'd pop along to the western edge of Djuma just to see if maybe we got lucky. But really, we've got no particular plans. Oh, by the way, I don't know if Brent told you, he might have done, but for those of you that perhaps missed it, Shadulu's got suckle marks. Now, I've never seen Shadulu. She remains the one leopard on my list that I have not crossed off of the Djuma leopards. But apparently she does have suckle marks, which probably means I'm not going to see her for a little while, because she's going to den right in the center of Hukamuri's territory. But little first generation baby Hukamuris. What would they be called? Wait, didn't somebody have a name? Shamuris. Hukadulus! Hukadulus! And Shamuris. Hukadulus and Shamuris, depending on if they're males or females. Oh, little Stembookie. Okay, well, I was going to try to show you the Stembookie, but it ran away. Shamuris, that's so cute. I think Hukadulu's actually funnier. Well, where are you? Oh, that's interesting. Oh no, there it is. Oh, cool, cool, cool. Chicken mound. Hey, beautiful. We're going to do your display for us. Dance for us. Come on, where's your lady friend? Well, might actually be the lady. He was doing a little bit of a display with its wings out and open. Oh, there's its partner. Its partner is actually in there. But it's hidden behind the branches of the weeping wattle, but I can actually see it. Come on. Dance for us. Sound of summer. A flash of blue, a streak of white. Nikki and I had so much fun composing that little rhyme on the woodland kingfisher. Come on, chirp for us. Your partner's chirping away. I had to do a whole load of voiceovers this afternoon, and they're all going to have the sound of a woodland kingfisher, because there was one right next to me, and it would not be quiet. It's lovely, isn't it? Chip, chirr. Chip, chirr. Gawley does the best woodland kingfisher impression. He really does. I think he's got it down. He's the only person I know who can actually accurately mimic it. It's almost impossible. You having a little beak clean, quickly? It's the one at the back that's calling. I'm waiting for this one to call, so you can actually see it do it. It's just the easiest bird call to remember. There's no mistaking it. Kingfishers actually have beautiful voices. All of them. Not just the woodland. That's such fantastic detail. You can even see its little claws. Lorena says that perhaps the woodland forgot its dancing shoes. That is terribly tragic if that is the case, although it started the display. Maybe he just lost confidence. Maybe he's camera shy. Come on. Oh, okay, bye. Not even going to call in response.
Can you see the one calling?
I can see the one calling. Let me try go forward. Maybe we get lucky. And it doesn't. No. Oh, you horrible bird.
Where is he?
It's this one here. Can you see it there?
No.
No. He's there.
Okay.
Somewhere. There. Oh, there. Oh, it's behind a branch again.
Oh, I see.
You got it now.
Okay.
Now it's going to stop. Film live wildlife, they said. It'll be fun, they said. Animals will be so cooperative. Yep, Lou says that the two rules of the film industry don't work with animals or children, and that we work with both. I hear you, Lou. I hear you. Many will remain nameless. Be interesting to see if my list and Lou's list is the same. You gonna chirp for us? No, you're not. You are camera shy. As soon as we took the camera off you, you called. Bye.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Nearly
Flew into me almost.
nearly took Seb out. You okay there, Seb?
Yeah, but cool. Maybe it could be between Tulani and I.
Okay. Onwards we go. I'm afraid. Rosalind would like to know what the kingfisher's diet consists of. Its name is somewhat deceptive. There are actually only two members of the kingfisher family that eat fishes. That is the pied kingfisher and the giant kingfisher. The rest of them are insectivores. And what they do, you'll still see them near water often. I found that near our swimming pool, there's a pair that sits and they scoop out the insects that have thrown themselves to the mercy of the water. And they actually do a better job of keeping our pool clean than we do at times. So they are insectivores. Anything from termites to beetles to butterflies to moths, caterpillars, you name it. You name it, they munch it. Alright, in desperation, we are going to check this road. Paula would like to know what my favorite bird is. I have a list of 5, but the list changes sometimes. But I have a list of 5. Shoebill, which has become one of my new favorites since I saw one in Uganda last year. I think they're awesome. I think they're prehistoric. I think they're actually the craziest thing I've ever seen. They are so cool. Giant, giant birds. Part of, sort of, not quite part of the stork family, but back sort of towards that line. So I really like shoebills. The rose eagle, or black eagle. The African blue flycatcher, which was one that I gathered up in the Masai Mara. And the, oh good grief, pearl-spotted owl. I like them. I think they look angry all the time, grumpy. And the, most importantly on that list is the cinnamon bun bird, or the cinnamon-breasted bunting. I love them. And obviously those of you who've been watching for a long time will know why I love them. They were a special bird to one of our much-loved viewers. Oh! This male's causing chaos in here. And he separated all the lambs from their mothers. And now the mothers are calling frantically to the lambs. You idiot! You're 7 months too early, buddy. I get quite irrationally angry. I get irrationally angry with the male impala when they do this to the females. I know it's not their fault, and I know it's just, oh, there's a little one. I know that it's not their fault because they get confused by all the pregnancy hormones and birthing hormones in the air and they think it's mating time. But I feel such sympathy for these poor female impala because they spend their lives either running away from the males, herded together and mating, and then being pregnant for months and then having these tiny little babies, and it just never seems to let up. I mean, they've just given birth after a long, hard, dry season. And of course, There's a male impala ready to chase them around thinking he's going to get lucky. I know it's not their fault. I do realize that rationally. And I try and tell myself that it's really quite silly to get annoyed with them, but I just can't help it. Good at having a drink, headbutting Mum. I know it's hidden behind the trees, but that seems to be par for the course this afternoon, so we're just going to deal with it. Headbutting its mom to stimulate milk production. Doof doof. So antelope feed or suckle this way. No, I think we're all grateful that human infants don't do that. I think Lou said, imagine if they did. I'm sure there are mothers around the globe that are very happy that they don't. It actually reminds me of a story. I've told it to you before, but you're going to hear it again because you are stuck with me for now. Antelope feed from the side. They suckle from the side. They go between sort of under their mom's bellies and then they suckle that way. But buffalo feed from behind their mothers between their back legs. Now, once upon a time, many moons ago, there was a buffalo known as Patsy. It was originally Jamie, but they decided that it was a silly name for a buffalo, so they called it Patsy instead, after Patterson, because we saved it from quite a traumatic birthing experience. Anyway, so Patsy ended up being hand-raised because she was a disease-free buffalo, and they were trying to introduce disease-free buffalo back into the area that I worked in, so they were given quite a bit of a human intervention. And Patsy was bottle-fed, but by a gentleman. And occasionally when Patsy was not happy that he had not content with how much food she'd received, she used to walk behind him and try to stimulate the milk production by headbutting him. Obviously, between his legs, it was less than pleasant, and she became quite a danger to his health. Let's just put it that way. Patsy ended up being raised with 2 sheep. Oh, Patsy. How those sheep survived, I still don't know, because there's a leopard that had its scent of its territory in that area. And Patsy just used to wander around with 2 sheep. So she had some company when it became clear that she was actually going to hurt someone. She got strong fast. Also, when they suckle, I can tell you from experience, because she kept grabbing my finger, they cover their teeth, their top teeth, with their tongue. With their tongue so that they don't bite their mothers. It's so sweet. Little gap teeth at the top. Oh man, she was cute. Is that a tortoise or a... Oh, Lauren's got us all going now. Is that a... No, it's not a... What is that? You see what I'm seeing? I don't think it is a tortoise. A tortoise. It is a tortoise. It is 2 tortoises. It is a mating pair. Yay! Oh man, I love this. This is hilarious. I can't wait. I'm so excited. This has made my day. The lady in the front and the gentleman at the back, the female is always a little bit larger than the male. And as is a true typical tortoise courting, she could not care less. She is quite happily munching away at the fresh green grass. Jeepers, it's gone green fast. It's crazy. After yesterday's rain, I mean, and we really did have a downpour. It was 20 mils in about an hour and a half. This is my favorite thing. Look at his face. Oh, she's got a broken shell. She got a collapsed shell there. Oh, something's happened to her. Goose says, oh, honeymooning couple. Indeed. If only she would stay still long enough for him to get to that point. He's a brave man. Tortoise man. It's quite the obstacle. That's exactly what he looks like he's doing. He's trying to figure out how to go about this. I wish you could hear the noise they make. I unfortunately am not permitted to drive off-road after a tortoise. At least not in this area. Due to some... It's ethically not correct, because... But I would love to get close there. They sort of go... It's hilarious. It's really funny. I know it's essential. I promise I'm not completely childish, but remember, we did say that we work with children and animals. I didn't say I wasn't one of them. Shame, man. She's obviously had quite a nasty injury, but it doesn't seem to be affecting her. Just the expression on his face. Do you think she knows he's there? She must do. She's just waiting for him to get on with it. I wonder how long he's been following her like this. He's definitely working out how to do this. Magic Dragon Wizard, on a more serious note, you want to know if she's going to be okay with that broken shell? Yes, I think so, although it could potentially make her more vulnerable. I don't know, it looks old, it looks like it's well healed. So I think she'll be fine, but I think the risk of infection will have passed. It doesn't look fresh, that injury. Is it a broken shell? It's not an optical illusion, it is broken. No, it is broken. Definitely is. I thought maybe the shadows of the ridges and so on might have been creating an odd effect, but it is definitely broken. Come on, come this way, girl. Please. MGN, we want to know which one is the male. It's the one with a perplexed expression. Perplexed but very keen. If you don't know which one that is, it's the one at the back. Perplexed but keen. Come on, dude. We're all rooting for you. You don't know how many people are now invested in this process. Come on, buddy. You can do it. You can do it. She's got to stop eventually. It's got to it's going to happen. She stopped. Come on. Now's your chance. Go. Go. Yes. Okay. Lou says he is more respectful than that. He is actually treating her as all female tortoises deserve to be treated, and wooing. I don't know if it's worked or not. I wonder how long this goes on for, this wooing. I know, I was also wondering if she knows that he's there. She must do. But I mean, she does have a massive blind spot behind her, so maybe that's his that's his method. Surprise! He's shy. No, Nancy, he's not. I actually don't think he's that much younger than her. Just looking at the stage of development that they're both at, males are smaller than the females. There's quite a disparate size difference between the two of them. So it's typically the females that are much, much larger than the males. It's one of the reasons why this process is a little... Oh, he lifted his leg. Yes. Yes. Oh, panic at the last minute. I don't think he's going to care whether or not she's eating, but perhaps he's hoping for a slightly more romantic approach. The sort of equivalent of asking your partner to put their phone down when you're trying to have a chat to them. I've watched Speak's Hinge Tortoise's mate, and the female continued to eat throughout the entire experience. I don't think she even noticed she had a male on her back. It was hilarious. She was so... And the funny part of it was, I was so sad, it was... I'm just going to move back a bit so that Seb's got a slightly clearer view. What was I going to say? Oh, what made it so funny was the fact that she was so excited about the mushroom that she was eating. She was really tucking in. I mean, she was munching giant bites out of it as he was mating with her. He wasn't trying, he was successfully mating with her. It was hilarious. I thought it was absolutely hilarious, but I was all on my own. I had no one to share it with, but now at least I can share this with you guys. Gregory apparently brought her mate into camp once. Gregory, of course, being our camp tortoise. Tortoise. The tortoise. Gregory was around this morning, or this afternoon. She tried to bite my toe. Love bites. Tortoise love bites. You got to be careful in the morning meeting. We all sit round the table and occasionally Gregory sneaks up and takes a bite out of someone's toe. It adds a little level of excitement to our morning routine. Oh, buddy. You're letting the side down here. I mean, no pressure, but I don't think I can spend the next hour and a half watching this process, so, you know. Come on. No, I'm not leaving him yet. Let's give him a chance. Crafty Stash, again, I have watched female tortoises continue to walk, even when they have a male mounted on their back. And the process of actual copulation takes a bit of time, and they remain connected for quite a long while. So he just has to sort of try and waddle along with her and not fall down. You know, this is actually potentially quite risky for him, because he could slide off and he could actually wind up on his back, which obviously would present him with something of a tricky situation. Ah. Apparently Taylor actually had that happen live. So it does happen. Shame. I mean, I'm still not 100% convinced she knows he's there. I love their legs. One of my favorite things about tortoises is sort of scaly front. Just needs music. It definitely needs music. I'm not sure which music, but it needs music. Jasmine is doubting our male's nerve. Jasmine thinks that the male doesn't have enough of it. Well, let's see, Jasmine, let's see. Let's not count him out yet. All right, everyone, I would like you to send through your song suggestion. I can't, of course, play it, otherwise we will be taken off the airwaves faster than you can say copyright. But send through your song suggestions on #SafariLive on Twitter or in the comments section. What music would suit this scenario? For some reason, I'm thinking something sort of Peer Ginty. I did not just make the name of a musical score and an adjective. I did actually. Or something really grandiose, like Beethoven's Seventh. Dun 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 dun. You get the idea. I'm not going to sing the whole of the Seventh Symphony. Might take us a while. Christine suggested the Pink Panther. Doo 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 doo. Doo 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 doo. Doo 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 doo. I like it. It works. Kathy, okay, fair. There's no way I could ever have opened that up without immediately having Barry White as a suggestion. Absolutely. You're the first, the last, my everything. Now, I can't sing Barry White, I'm afraid. I just simply don't have the vocal range. My everything. Da-na, da-na. Patrick has suggested Bon Jovi, You Give Love a Bad Name. You give love a bad name. I like it. It works. Munch, 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 munch. I wonder how long he's been doing this. Lou has suggested A Total Eclipse of the Heart by Bonnie Tyler. Total eclipse of the heart. Total eclipse of a shell. She can't even see him there. Turn around, bright eyes. Every now and then I fall apart or off. I just really want to know how long he's been doing this for. So many songs. You're not allowed to say Marvin Gaye, by the way. Just in case any of you are thinking of it. A little bit of Kings of Leon, maybe. I'm surprised nobody suggested Marvin Gaye. Something comic, I feel. Okay, I mean, I do have endless patience. I love it. Bianca, who is in final control, has said, ain't no mountain high enough. That's brilliant. Ain't no mountain high enough. Ain't no river wide enough. Awesome. Right, well, as entertaining as this leopard tortoise has been, or both leopard tortoises have been, I think we shall go from a tortoise to an actual leopard.
Well, welcome back, everyone. Tundi has gone down the tree. She's sleeping in the shade where we can't see her. But little Tlalamba has gone straight up and is making the most of what's left of this young male impala. Isn't she pretty? An absolutely gorgeous light this evening. There we go. You can see the flies are bothering her slightly, as one would expect after the rain yesterday. And the heat of today, there would have been a massive explosion of flies, a lot more than there would have been around for the last couple of days. And you can see they've been here probably for 2 days, 2 leopards, and the majority of the carcass is gone, but I think they might still be here tomorrow morning. And Tundi is very, very fat, but it doesn't look like she's been sharing that much with Tlalamba, as her belly is not nearly as full as her mom's. So it's a yearling impala male, so born probably around this time last year. And unfortunately for him, he's not going to make it to make any babies of his own. And see, where she's looking is where Tundi disappeared to. I think she's just sleeping under a bush. We just can't see her from where we are at the moment. Or she popped off down to the little river system for a drink. And quite lucky, they haven't been found by hyenas just yet. So there's no scavengers underneath, so even if she does drop it, she should be able to retrieve it. Well, she's by no means hungry. Now, remember, guys, if you want to send us any questions, hashtag SafariLive on Twitter, or if you're watching on the YouTube, just pop it in the feed below. I'm sure there's lots of speculation that's happening about when Thandi is going to finally abandon Tlalamba to her own devices. And Thandi generally tends to leave her cubs quite a lot younger than other females in this area. She left Tambo when he was a little bit older than Tlalamba, and well, it'll be interesting to see. As I said, there's been a lot of speculation in camp whether we would see Thandi and Tlalamba together again in a situation like this. But as you can see so far, even though Thandi has abandoned Tlalamba for long periods of time, she is still providing some sustenance to her. Now, it's not unusual for a female leopard to leave the cubs for a long period of time, especially when they're getting to Tlalamba's age. So the older they get, the longer periods they will be left on their own. And during those periods, they do hunt and catch lots of small things, lizards, squirrels, francolin, and even occasionally they might catch something big like a duiker or an impala. And for Tlalamba to be becoming independent when there's lots of baby impalas around, it's always good. Ashley is wondering, at what stage will male leopards start seeing Tlalamba as a potential mate? Well, it all depends on the individual leopard. Normally at about 4 years, but leopards, well, Tlalamba's grandmother, Karula, she started mating at, or she had her first litter at 3 years. So it is possible she might come into estrus for the first time around 3 years, but as a general rule, it's normally much closer to 4 years. Absolutely spectacular this afternoon. After the rain last night, there's very little dust in the sky, and it is very, very clear. Andra is wondering, is Tlalamba old enough to be fully independent? She is, Andra, but as a normal rule, they will stay with their mom until they're about 16 months old. But as I say, Thandi has a habit of leaving them when they're a bit younger, sort of 14 months. The youngest ever leopard recorded going into independence was 7 months, and that was due to the mother being killed by lions. But that leopard did survive through to adulthood and became a dominant male in the southern Sabi Sands. But normally between a year and 2 years. Oh, she might move it. The little boys tend to stay with mom a lot longer. I mean, if you think about it, I've seen male leopards that'll stay with their mom to 24, 26 months. Now, there's lots of different theories about why young male leopards will stay much longer with their mothers than female leopards. And the most plausible explanation that I've read is that the females put more effort into, more effort into raising the males. Of course, the males generally have a much tougher time of it once they become independent. The females will generally sequester a small piece of territory to their daughter if it isn't too inundated with leopards around there. However, the males have to go often move very, very far from where they were born to set up territory. And the reason that the females tend to let the males hang around a bit longer is so they have a better chance in setting up territory and surviving. And of course, from a female leopard's biological point of view, the more male offspring she can have spread through the area, the more of her genetic code is passed on. Look at that. And it's always lovely to see that little curl on a leopard's tail. Of course, she straightens it as soon as I talk about it curling. And you can see some of the flies on the carcass there. Christine is wondering, have leopards ever fallen from the tree while they're eating? Christine, I'm sure it's happened. Generally, I've seen youngsters or cubs do that, not adults. But sometimes, you know, strange things can happen, and you never know. Maybe we might even see a leopard fall out of a tree this week. We've seen a sana fall out of the tree a few times. You're probably more likely to see a male leopard take a tumble while eating than a female. And females are quite a lot smaller and a little bit more dainty and a little bit more agile up in the trees, obviously with them weighing quite a lot less. You can see her turning her head, trying to cut through the skin. Isn't she absolutely gorgeous? A quick look, see if we can see Tundi. Can't see her, she just disappeared down here. And maybe we'll go have a quick look to see if we can find the queen. She's been hanging around in the east quite a lot. Magic Dragon Wizard would like to know how many cubs has Tundi had. She's had quite a few, but successfully raised to independence, I think it's about 5, if I remember correctly. Tamba and I saw Bahuti, and of course Kuchava, and I think there was another male who eventually actually got killed by lions, but after he was independent already. I think, is it 4 or 5? I think I might be forgetting one somewhere. I wouldn't consider Tlalamba independent yet, but very close to it. So I suppose we could add Tlalamba in there. So 5 or 6. As I say, I'm not 100% sure. Apparently it was 4. Okay. So Tamba, Bahuti, Kochava, and I think it was Wabayizo, who got killed by the Styx Pride. So, not nearly as successful as her mother, of course. I mean, if we think about all the leopards that Karula managed to raise to adulthood at independence, try to start way back. Well, Tundi and Shadow, and I'm not sure about Shivambalan's sister. Was her name Shavinzi, I think? But I think she might have got to adulthood. I'm not sure whether Shavinzi disappeared before or after she was independent. It was before my time. Well, let's just count her for now. So we're on 4. And of course, Quarantine, Konyuma, Osana, Shongile. I think I'm missing a few. I think it was 10 cubs to adulthood by Karula, which is incredible. Absolutely incredible. Choo. Beautiful. Yeah, I'm going to go have a quick look to see if we can catch up with Tundi. While we do that, let's send you back to Jamie to see where she's off to next.
Awesome, Brenty. Well done. I'm glad that he managed to catch up with both Tundi and Tlalamba this afternoon. I'm sure it will allay quite a few fears about Tlalamba's well-being. Look, we're going to go to the hyena den, obviously, because I haven't found anything else. But not yet, because it's still a little bit too hot, a little bit too early in the afternoon for the hyenas to be out. So we're just sort of bumbling in the direction of where Hasana's tracks were last seen, essentially. I don't really have a specific plan in mind. I suspect he's somewhere in this drainage line. Although Brent said that he walked that whole area on bushwalk. Was it yesterday? It must have been yesterday. It feels like forever ago, but it must have been yesterday. I've got no sense of the passage of time at all. I really don't. Not a clue. So I'll just check the western edge of Quarantine, across to Galago Pan, and then, yeah, we'll see where that gets us. Otherwise we'll go to our hyenas and see where they are. I'm sure they're at the same den. I'm waiting for them to move back to Mvubu. I feel as though they've been at that Philemon's Cutline den for a really long time, and I like the Mvubu Road den. It's pretty. It's really pretty. I suppose hyenas don't give too much thought to the aesthetics of their surroundings. I'm not stopping for more Impala. We'll find something else. We will definitely find something else. Hello, Impalas. Have you seen a leopard by any chance? Yes, no? Ooh, Richard, I could get myself into dangerous territory here. Richard wants to know if Hukamuri is the only likely candidate as the father of Shadulu's cubs. Look, he's the most likely. He is the most likely, but I don't know exactly how far Shadulu's territory extends and whether or not there's any big males sort of neighboring her. I suppose Anderson is a possibility. He's gone a bit further to the south, so I don't think so, but I guess he might be considered to be a possible candidate for Daddy. But I would say that Hukamuri is definitely the most likely. And let's face it, Hukadulu's just got such a nice name for it. Hukadulu's. That I'd refuse to consider that there might be other paternity involved there. It's Hukadulu's or nothing. And Adulu's doesn't have quite the same ring to it. Or Shinderson. That also doesn't work. Oh. No, I just drove over a branch. Thought something had dropped out of the car. Odd sound. Okay, let's just check, because I'm here. Otherwise I will come back. But let's just check and see if by some miracle the hyenas are out and about. I actually just want to check and see if there's fresh marking around the den, because we haven't been there for a couple of days. We haven't seen them for a couple of days, so it's possible they've moved. And if I come back here too late, it'll be too late to check the other dens. So let's just have a look. Don't think they're going to be back here yet, but we're here. So we might as well. Someone was here this morning. There ain't no hyena tracks on this road from last night or this morning. They obviously would have been washed away during the heavy rain, but they should have been back here afterwards. I am suspicious. I am very suspicious. I think they've moved. Not one hyena track. No. No, not one footprint. That seems highly unlikely. Oh no, no. Yep, those are from the rain. Normally this whole place is a pitter-patter of little hyena feet. Perhaps the hyenas were also celebrating the end of their year last night. It smells, but then the hyena then always does. It'll take a while for that smell to go away. Jeepers, folks, I don't know. They might have moved back to that other one they've been using. But, no, someone... Oh, whoopsies. Hello. They're here. Hello, little ear. Okay, cool. All right, we'll come back later. Obviously, we can't ethically sit with them without mums here. And as you can see, our presence has already alerted them. And don't you come running out now. They're still a little bit too small to be encouraged out without an adult present. Cute. Cute. Such a tiny entrance hole. Since this mound collapsed, they're going to outgrow it. They're going to have to keep using the back door. All right. Cool. Let's bounce off. We'll come back here a bit later. Cool. They're here. Don't know why there's no tracks, but they're here. Okay, little one. I'll see you later. Little pretty mischief. Ah, dun dun dun. Kel6 wants to know what the possibility of Soup taking over the North Clan is. Well, guys, she looks like she has. So I received news. Actually, I did receive news a while ago that there was a possibility that Soup was acting dominant to Waffles. But the researchers have actually told me now that Soup and her daughters, Lobster and Chow, are both dominating Waffles, and Waffles is backing down. So it's done, I would say. I would say too, the takeover's actually either happened or in the process of happening. Now that kind of makes sense, and it's a much better outcome for Waffles because Soup, of course, is her granddaughter. So, you know, it's a natural inheritance process because Waffles doesn't have any surviving daughters. So Soup's sort of she's almost taken over from her grandmother. It's sort of a natural progression. Waffles has essentially retired. She is no longer trying to dominate or stay dominant. So what that means basically is that Soup will go up to the top and Waffles will slot in underneath her. You know what I'd find really interesting, and I'd love to be there now to observe, is whether or not Hershey and Ferg submit to Soup. So Hershey and Ferg are Waffles' sons, and therefore were higher ranked than Soup, and they were actually the highest ranked individuals in that clan apart from Waffles' two little ones, the Wafflets, Ilovo and Grenadine. They do have their names, Gren and Ilovo. I would love to know how Hershey and Ferg are reacting to Soup. It'd be interesting. It would be really interesting to observe. So after all that, it's done. The Queen has been dethroned, or more officially, she's actually abdicated. She has not fought back, although apparently she has got a few bite wounds on her. Can you believe it? After all that, at least it went to the rightful heir to the throne. I don't know if either Gren or Ilova are males or females. I must ask, actually. But good question, Kel6. It's been something that's been playing on my mind for a while, just waiting for actual confirmation that it is the case. Okay, quick trip round the western edge of quarantine, where Hosanna likes to be. So while we do that, and we wait for our hyenas to come home, Brent has managed to reposition, and he's caught up with Tundi herself.
Well, we have managed to find Tandy again. She did exactly what we thought. She came and had a little drink. There's a pool of water down below her. And now she is just reclining in the shade. Oh, looks like she's going to get up and come straight towards us. That is very nice of you, Tandy. Okay, with Tandy you just got to keep very still when she's close. And she is very close. I couldn't move a muscle. Now, she seemed to snarl directly at my knee. Don't know what my knee did to her. And the Tandy smile, I didn't move a muscle, and she still smiled at me. Where is she? How far away is she? Okay, can you see? I can move? Okay. She might head back towards the tree where the kill is, which means she might chase little Kalama. No, it looks like she's just having her afternoon ablutions. Sally says she missed me. Well, we always know Tandy. Tandy has just got one of those funny temperaments. I mean, I've even seen her hiss at a blade of grass before. Oh, it looks like she might be leaving Kalamba to the rest of that kill. And she doesn't need to go anywhere because there is water right there. Craig? Let's have a look in the air there. I think we have our first Amma falcons of the year. The rain has arrived. It looks like an Amma. And with the Ammas, with the rain comes the Ammas. I only saw two there, and of course sometimes you get them in flocks of hundreds. Okay, let's keep up with Queen Tandy. Kalamba is still in the tree munching over there, but let's see where Tandy's off to. It is such beautiful evening light today. Yes, Batman. Everyone is loving the Batman's camera work this afternoon. He did an okay job with the Amma Falcon. I mean, it was pretty average if you ask me. Hey, Batman. Yeah. Oh, there's Tandy and a Swanson's spur file. Who's going to run away from Tandy, that's for sure. And Tandy might be going to the top of the termite mound. You can hear the Swansons, you can just see it in the light there. Chirping, it's a Swanson's alarm call, not one we hear too often. Chip, chip. Oh, Franklin's disappeared to the other side of the termite mound. Come on, go pose and silhouette for us. She's thinking about it. For snarling at my knee, go pose and silhouette on top of the termite mound for us. Come on, a little bit higher. A little bit higher. Achoo! We just want her to go a little bit higher. Come on, Tandy, a little bit higher. That pretty, eh? Absolutely gorgeous. Now, from a photography point of view, I'm a massive fan of backlighting. Can be quite tricky, but the outcome is often gorgeous. You can almost get every single hair if you get it right. It is spectacular. Come on, up, 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 up. She's obviously, of course, not going to, because I'm desperate for her to go up to the top of that termite mound. Oh, Thandi, you are a very good leopard. Well done, Thandikile. Thank you for listening. Now, if you could just bite some of that grass off, that would be wonderful. Okay, enough backlighting now. Let's try and get some good lighting on it, and then I think we'll make a dash back. Oh, car. Oh, elephant. And there's a herd of elephants moving in. And I'm just let me go back a little bit on the tree. There we go. It's all happening here on Torchwood this afternoon. Next thing you know, the informers will come wandering past. We can only hope. There you go. Lovely herd of ellies. They're quite a small herd, but it could be more that we can't see. The grey ghosts are moving through the woodland. So they're heading straight towards where little Columba is. Okay, let's move quickly. Let's leave Thandi. Let's go see if those elephants make their way towards Columba's tree. Yuri, Yuri. They seem to be on a mission, not feeding, but walking with purpose. Let's just stop around here for now. Let's just go a little bit further. I think they're actually going to miss Columba's tree. But there's a nice open area about to in front of us. Nice big seep line. So they should come out into the open here. Hello, Ellies. Very long, thin ivory at the right on this female. They'll also be very happy now that it's rained. Oh, look at that. She's got a very distinct grass notch in her left tusk. And you see that little bump in the tusk there? It's called a grass notch. So when she's grazing grasses, she actually runs the grass when she's picking it through there. Hello. It's okay, big girl. It's okay. We're not doing anything. Gave us a little look, but she's pretty relaxed. I think the little one might run to catch up with her. Feels a little bit out in the open and by himself. Or herself, it's a little girl. I think I can smell the carcass. Well, the lead female certainly can. Then he saw her change behavior a little bit. Just 3 Ellies. Let's try to see. She definitely picked up a whiff of the carcass. You can see how she's holding her trunk. She's still smelling towards the tree little Lalumba's in. So only those two and a teenage boy at the back. Now, they're almost certainly part of a bigger group, but they might have just wandered off, or the rest are still on their way. There's the teenage boy. I'm getting a little bit closer to Tlalamba. Tandi's still on the termite mound behind us. Let's move again. Craig, are you getting comms? No. I just haven't heard anything for quite some time, so not sure what's going on. Whether we have lost comms or not. Louise has lost all comms. Yes, okay, Louise. I don't know whether I am live or not. Okay, well, sorry about that, folks. We are still with Thandi. She's up and on the move, and she's left Kalamba behind, and we lost all communications with Final Control. It seems to be rectified, so we are back, and Thandi is scent marking quite a bit as she's moving at the moment. Now, not too far away from where sort of the most, or the furthest west you might encounter in Kanyeni. So I think after the rain, Thandi is now on a scent marking mission, making sure no other females decide to try come into her territory. Okay. Let's try find a spot. Lorena says, yes, Thandi, you tell those other females that this is your turf. Now, you've heard us talk a lot about how the rain can make tracking very difficult as it compresses the soil. And I mean, that's nice soft soil, and that's about as good a tracks as you're going to get these after rain. They're very indistinct, and you can't see them nice and clearly like you can in dry sand. Let's see. Rusty, you're being very funny today. There we go. I wonder where she's off to. She's heading sort of southwest at the moment. Kalamba's just down that way, about there. She might center mark again against that marula tree. Let's try to get in front of her. I was too slow. Now, even though she's on a territorial patrol, and she does spot an impala or duiker, even though she's got a very full tum, she might try and hunt it, being an opportunist as always. Okay, I'm going to keep up with the beloved Thandi. In the meantime, let's send you back to Jamie.
Well, I managed to find Hosanna's tracks from last night. Unfortunately, it's very difficult tracking at this time of year after a big downpour like that, because the ground is very hard and the tracks become almost invisible in certain places. Now, I moved on from there just to see if I could find him, but otherwise I would have showed you how beautifully perfect they were in the mud. There's just these perfect, and there's nothing as beautiful as a leopard track. I feel it's, I don't know, it's the neatness of their paws. There's something very delicate and very pretty about a leopard track. And they were so perfectly imprinted in the mud. I could just imagine him walking, going as he walked through it. So he was around Boyatela Dam last night, and in fact I suspect he's somewhere in that drainage line, because his tracks haven't come out this way. Oof, the alates are going to be out in full force tonight, Seb. We're gonna have alates in our ears, in our shirts, in our food. That's okay. An extra protein. Big bucks. I'd heard something completely different when Lou first fed me your name. Big bucks would like to know if Hosanna has lost a piece of his tail, how will that affect him? It really wasn't that big of a piece. it was some fur. I mean, it was enough fur that there was a rosette in the fur, but it really wasn't. I mean, he hasn't lost a piece of his tail. He's not missing the tip or anything like that. If he were, he'd be fine. I mean, it would. Leopards use their tails largely for. I'm seeing phantom leopards. Largely for balance, so it might be that he struggles just a little bit, or maybe is a little bit more clumsy, but ultimately it wouldn't really negatively affect him all that much. But you don't need to worry, he hasn't lost the tip of his tail, he's fine. He just lost some fur and he had a very close shave and hopefully a very good learning experience about being slightly more alert to dangers. I think he's so comfortable around that open area, that quarantine area, that he just got taken by surprise. Silly boy. He's fine. Are we both... Oh! Surprise! Cool. Awesome. Tutu. Kook. Kook. Come on, call for us. It's nighttime now. It would be very nice if you did. That is a southern ground hornbill. And actually quite an endangered bird species, roughly the size of a turkey or a big goose. And they're very, very striking birds. That dramatic flare of both black and red. Beautiful. Stalking through the grass with long limbs, looking for snails. It's actually a wonderful time of year for them because finally there's things like snails out and about. There's lots more insects for them to eat. They too will be feeding off the termite alates, or the reproductive termites that are produced in such large numbers. Snakes, scorpions, nothing is safe from the formidable beak. Ah, there we go. So for Sharon, this is her favorite bird, so she says yay. I'm happy to hear it, Sharon. For our new viewers, this is a nice one to add to your bird list. We don't see them all that often out here, so it would be something nice for you to add. We encourage all of our viewers to keep a bird list in the spirit of do as we say, not as we do, because I've stopped keeping a bird list on about bird 3. This car is going to stop starting. You can hear it. We're going to have a problem at some point. Now, don't disappear completely, ground hornbill. It is nesting time for this particular bird. Most birds, actually, out here are reproducing around about now. There we go. So what they will be doing, this pair, and I think it is a pair, they will be searching for a hollow in a tree. Often in marula trees. They seem to like marula trees, but that is not... Oh, they're gone. Right. Okay. Cool. Well, short-lived, but very pleasant. Oh, no. Saw a flash of movement there. No, they're gonna... Unfortunately, I cannot go following them off-road. But what they're doing is they're looking for hollows in things like jackalberries. It's often marulas. Funnily enough, I found most of ground hornbill nests have been in marula trees. I think it's because it's nice and soft, the wood, so that they can actually create a nice hollow for themselves. They'll take an existing hollow, but they will sort of excavate it a little bit. And in that nest, they shall, just in the same way that other hornbills do, the male brings the female food. She loses the ability to fly temporarily because her wings drop out. I mean, her wings, not her wings, her feathers. Her wings don't just drop off and then grow back again. That's ridiculous. No, her feathers drop out, and she stays like that until they grow back again, and then she's able to help the male feed the chicks, or the chick, singular, for although they do lay 2 eggs, the second one never survives. Might hatch, but the second chick never survives. Unless something happens to the first chick. The second egg is basically an insurance policy. It's one of those odd little reproductive tactics that you find in quite a few birds, or birds of prey. So eagles and so on. The younger chick is, even if it hatches just a day later, is at a distinct developmental disadvantage. It's smaller, it often gets pecked and bullied by its sibling, and it just can't compete for food, and it invariably dies. Quite a sad reality, but it is part of their survival strategy. That egg is purely just in case the first egg fails for some reason. A white what? Sorry, Lou? Oh, Philip. Oh, right. I'm sorry. I could not understand at first. I was clearly being very slow. Philip wants to know if there's a white whale bird that I have not yet managed to obviously see. Papyrus gonolek was one that I really wanted to see in Uganda that we didn't see. We didn't get to see a papyrus gonolek. I was quite excited about that. What else? What other birds are there that what would be my white whale bird? I'm trying to think. I've seen most of the bird species that I would really love to see. Obviously, there are bird species in other areas that I haven't seen that I would love to see. I wouldn't mind seeing a chocolate kingfisher. I just thought of it because I heard the kingfisher call. Chocolate kingfisher. It's very pretty. Now I feel like chocolate. We're almost back at the hyena den again. What would be another bird that I have not seen? You know, Shubel was really high on my list. It really was. I've wanted to see a Shubel for a very long time. And when I did eventually see it, I was beyond ridiculously excited. I nearly fell off the boat that we were on. Skimmers. I have seen skimmers. I have seen skimmers. Oh, that's on Seb's list. Once I've stopped at the den, I can maybe pull up a picture of a papyrus gonolek for you, show you what it is I mean. And a chocolate kingfisher for you. Ah, Ishmael. I can't remember what Burns. There's one bird that he's missing to complete a family collection, and I can't remember what it is. I know he's desperate for it, just as almost as desperate as I am that the hyenas are actually here. Please be here, hyenas, please. Please. I have failed in every other attempt this afternoon. Couldn't even watch tortoises mating because I got bored. I don't see anything. Dun dun dun. Heart-pounding stuff, everyone. The anticipation of whether or not they will be there. Are they here? Are they not here? We're gonna, count me in, Lou. I'll do an ad break. Will they be here when we arrive? You'll have to join us after the break to find out. This is